Ah. Allora. Dove eravamo rimasti? Cioè che dovevamo aspettare le elezioni, giusto?
Devi ancora salvare Duli in tutto questo.
Sì, perché devo fare leggere Galerius. Però stavo aspettando le elezioni in teoria adesso, no?
Tu puoi forzare le elezioni, quindi...
Ah, posso forzarle, cioè devo andare avanti?
No, puoi letteralmente chiedere di farle un po' prima.
Quindi devo andare da Sentire, sì. Da Equizia. Aspetta. Ecco, ask a kid to call the election. Eccolo qua.
Yes. I have overheard some rather unpleasant Very well. I'll get things started right away.
Ah, così? Vai. Che bella canzone. My friend, Georgius. Lui è Rufus, citizen. Vabbè, lei è la Betty.
Agreed. We shall dispense with ballots and candidates will abstain from voting. Let's
È
make
il
this
momento
quick.
della rivelazione.
Però scusa, nessuno perché tutti volevano votare Malleus, ma non c'è.
Start with you,
Chi
Horatio.
vuole essere console? Parabà.
Georgius.
Ok.
L'hai fatto togliere lui.
Dacius.
Ah.
Sentius.
Virgil.
Sentius.
Ah, ok, giustamente. Sentius.
Valerius, the man who saved my life.
Rufius.
Capito cosa fa?
Citizens.
Sì.
You have made your decision.
L'uomo che ha
Ok.
salvato la mia vita.
Sì, quindi devo far sì che Galerius faccia il favore agli altri, come all'inizio mi chiedevano.
Each day henceforth will be just like this one, and I will deliver.
You and your arrival, whatever your name is, you're responsible for this, aren't you? Nobody likes Caput Murday foreigners interfering in an election.
Shut up and let the magistrate speak.
Malleolus is going to be magistrate by the end of the day.
You have no idea what you're doing. You're going to get us all killed.
Just stay out of our way, and we won't have a problem.
Wait, I will not allow you to do this.
You're showing your true colors now, priestess. Your corruption sickens me. Domitius, ignore her. Proceed.
Mi uccide.
Sanity. You'll doom us all.
Lies. It is time the Golden Rule was exposed for what it is, a children's fable, exploited by a treacherous leader to instill fear in all of us.
The Golden Rule is real, you idiot.
Shut up, all of you. The magistrate has spoken. I'm going to enjoy killing you, old man.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Ok, quindi ci sarà sempre violenza. Ho capito, quindi il mio obiettivo è risolvere tutti i problemi per poi sapere già la risposta e avere i mezzi per risolverli, però far sì che Galerius li faccia.
Esatto.
Ma prima devo far uscire Malleolus lì? O posso già fare con Galerius e poi...
Dire dall'elezione, perché sennò Galerius si rifiuta.
Non ho capito. Cosa che devo fare prima, quindi?
Devi per forza
Salve,
farlo uscire,
friend.
sennò lui si
Mind
rifiuta
telling
di
me
andare.
who you are and why you look like you've just taken on a gladiator and lost?
Quindi scusami, Quindi se adesso gli dico... Fai questa cosa qua... Non funziona. Ah,
Mi sembra che hai combattuto un gladiatore.
Esatto, funziona uguale. Ok.
Sopra.
Questo? I need to ask... Ah sì, questo I need you to... Ok.
Sounds sick. You?
Oh!
Tutto li devi dire, tutto.
Sì.
Alright.
Adesso vediamo. Intanto vai a cercare quella placca che ti manca.
I'll be in my bakery. Thank you, Galerius.
Ma devo uccidere il tipo o no? Ah, lo fa lui! No,
Ma tutto
vabbè.
lui non hai capito, prende il tuo posto
Sì,
in
sì.
pratica. Però visto che tu non puoi andare alle elezioni perché sei nuovo, lo devi far fare a lui.
Thank you. For your service to the Empire, I'll let you live for now, but you'd best make sure our paths don't cross again.
Ah, io sapevo che era qua la placca greca. Tipo qua davanti. Oh! Tipo...
C'è una placca?
Qua. Tipo qua. Aspetta. Ah no? Dai, che bella questa roba. Io pensavo fosse quella la placca greca, invece no. Mi sa che la darà lui. Vai, dimmi.
Welcome, welcome. May I ask your name?
It's a sincere pleasure to meet. Tell me, what brings you all the way down here?
Ma avrà nuove opzioni? Ah, eccolo qua. Ah, è vero, posso chiedere di Kabash, che è la placca egizia.
Ah, yes, that cursed thing. I know exactly where it is.
Ok.
I will tell you everything I know.
Vai.
First, a
I'm ready.
I have been living down here alone for many years, with nobody to talk to but myself. The one thing I long for above all else before I die is a good philosophical up. Let us find out with this simple...
Pluto.
Excellent. I see you are indeed quite astute.
Già.
Very few come to that realization before.
Me l'ha detto una buddy.
What?
Oh, il discorso secondo me non è...
Dire di no
Facciamo...
sarebbe giusto, secondo il ragionamento che hai fatto finora. Dire sì sarebbe
No,
ipocrita.
è il mio ragionamento. Cioè che se il mio uso e costume è diverso dal tuo, ok? E tu fai una cosa che per me è sbagliato. Non è che è sbagliato. Per me è sbagliato, per il mio uso e costume. Quindi non è che ho ragione io e neanche te. Cioè per me è ovvio che tu hai torto. Ma non perché tu hai torto e basta. Ok? Cioè se poi i valori comuni, quelli democraticamente in maggioranza, è quella cosa che fai è sbagliata, è un altro discorso. Ma se tu chiedi a me e siamo 1-1, non esiste il giusto e sbagliato. Finché non mi fai del male. A me. Capito? O finché non fai del male a quelle che pensano come me. Quindi no, non è un problema.
And that's a credit to you. It is the mark of a civilized person
Esatto.
to change their position when presented with a superior argument. My point is this. I don't think anyone alive truly knows any hard and fast rules about right and wrong. If there is one thing I have observed about rules, it is that virtuous people do not need them, and evil people will always find a way around them. And so we must accept our limitations, and the sad truth that no human society will ever achieve the utopia for which it strives. In mathematics, we would call it an asymptote, a line that can be approached but never reached. Because the only way to create a utopia is with the ever-present threat of force, such as the Golden Rule. This and no other is the root from which a tyrant springs when he first appears as a protector. And life under tyranny is no utopia at all. I'm glad to hear that. In any case, thank you for humoring an old man. I would be happy to answer your questions.
Finalmente, cosa posso chiedere? Oltre dove posso trovare Kabash. Ah, eccolo qua, anche questo. Ma posso chiedere qualunque cosa adesso?
You mean how did I end up living alone in this cave with nothing but these relics of the past for company? It's a long story.
Ho tutto il tempo.
If I...
Giusto?
Did we not discuss it at length?
Grazie, per amor, grazie. Che hai detto non abbiamo parlato prima. Ok.
You seek the plaque bearing the Egyptian inscription?
Sì.
It is a cursed object, and I would be happy to give it to you, if Kabash had not...
Ah, quindi dov'è Kabash?
I will tell you, but you may find him hostile. To prepare for your encounter, there are certain things you must know. Very few know this, but before the Romans came to this city, it was once entirely Greek. The architecture, the temples, and the people. When the Romans came, in typical fashion, they claimed it as their own, built over everything that could be built over, and renamed the things that could not. Thus, the shrine of Persephone became the shrine of Proserpine.
Okay.
And when they found an obelisk bearing the name Hades, they tore it off and replaced it with Pluto instead. And the city's dwindling Greek residents, witnessing this compulsive Roman conquest, decided to preserve what they could of their heritage. They gathered their art and valuables, secreted them away through the Temple of Demeter, and hid them here, out of reach of the Romans. However, there was one thing that always seemed out of place to me, and it is the very thing you seek. An even older plaque bearing an Egyptian inscription. We had no idea until years later, when as a result of their deaths, we began to dig catacombs branching off from this cavern to lay them to rest. We extended the tunnel so far that we accidentally discovered another, an even older tunnel, which somebody had gone to great lengths to keep hidden. Suddenly it made sense why there was an out-of-place Egyptian plaque among our people's possessions. You see, we proud Greeks had thought the Romans beasts for stealing and corrupting our heritage. But it turns out this game has been going on much longer than any of us imagined. I think it is best you head through the catacombs and follow Kabash's trail.
Ok.
There are certain things you must see for yourself. Take this key. You'll need it to open the gate.
Let's go. Oh! Oddio, che cos'è? Mattia, che palle.
Ti ha preso un colpo, cos'era?
Sì, non lo so. Ma sono delle mummie loro? Ok. Che figata il fatto che era connesso all'aldilà egizio. Guardalo che figata. My best man right here. È Anubis. Potrebbe essere Anubis. Sì. Sì. Che bella sta cosa qua. Stanno scappando tutti. Da cosa poi? Oh! Giuro, lo stavo per sparare. Sei tu, Kabash?
Stop. Do not come any closer.
Any closer.
I am Kabash.
Oh.
And let me guess. Another Greek or Roman come to loot and plunder the resting place of my ancestors. To what end? That is welcome news. You really are not Greek or Roman, are you? I was planning to return it myself, but for now, I must remain. Here, take it and restore the honor of Osiris.
Ah. Bello sta cosa qua.
Now, as for the other plaque. Indeed. I have it right here. I stumbled across a collection of dusty curiosities while searching for a place to hide from the hungry children of Amit, and there it was. You may not. In fact, I am about to destroy it. Because it speaks a treacherous, blasphemous lie. I will tell you, but first, do you know what this place is?
Ah, solo perché sono un archeologo.
Indeed, and I see you know our history. This is the Duat. See what has become of it. I have been down here for weeks, piecing together its story, and here is what I have learned. As Egypt declined and the Greeks had their turn to flourish, their souls came here in great numbers. But instead of adopting our ways, they copied and corrupted them. When they found the obelisk bearing the name Osiris, the true god of the underworld, they desecrated it, removing his name and replacing it with Hades. Even the ferryman of the dead, known to my people long before as Kerti, they renamed to Kera, as if that desecration was not enough. They built over this place, using it as the foundation for their own. My only solace is that the Greeks then suffered the same fate when the Romans rose to power, renaming Hades to Pluto, and the cycle began anew. I am glad to hear it, which brings me to this other, fourth plaque. It is inscribed with a script I do not recognize, but it is ancient, almost as if it is older than the plaque bearing Osiris's name. But if that is so, it would imply the gods of Egypt are mere imitations too, copied and corrupted from an ancient people who prospered even before us, and that my people did to them what the Greeks and Romans did to us. But this I cannot accept.
Ah, in dubbio
I
con...
sense a deception. Perhaps it is the work of Set, the usurper, seeking to undermine Osiris once more.
No, non posso mentire.
You will never know. This work of sacrilege must be destroyed, thrown into the black abyss below in Osiris's name.
No,
You are too late.
No.
It could not have gone any other way. Now, the thing of evil you sought is gone.
Ah, proprio così.
I am from Rakotis, which you may know as Alexandria, the name of the city the Greeks built over it.
Ah,
I was
okay.
a fisherman, like my father before me. When the fires broke out last year, I tried to help.
Anche
I gathered
lui.
terrified locals into my boat, and on my 7th trip, a passenger demanded I wait for his brother. But we were full to almost sinking. I told him his brother would have to save himself, and he tried to bribe me by placing a coin into my hand. When I refused, he drew a dagger and thrust it between my ribs. I awoke on the banks of the river to a stranger wearing a ram head. It did not dawn on me until much later that he was the Kirti, the ram-headed ferryman described in... This is where I belong, as caretaker of the memories of my people. I think if someone is to break the golden rule, it will not be me. For I try to live as I always do to the doer to make him do. As for the punishment that will come from it, I finally understand why it has long been said among my people that gold is the skin of the gods. I do not know what could possibly lie beneath the underworld. Perhaps it is. All I know is it is every... Good. Wait. You would plunge into the depths of the Duat with no way back up. Madness.
Sì, troverò un modo, tranquillo.
We shall see.
Poppy! Un'altra volta scendere così. No, vabbè, che roba! Wow! Che figata! Oh mio Dio! Che bello che anche le statue adesso cambiano, hanno i capelli leggermente diversi. Oh, scusate, non volevo. Oh, oh! Era una trappola. Mamma mia. Era una trappola. It appears to be a pressure place coming to up. Wow. Wow. Ma vuol dire che adesso là... Aspetta, magari senza ripassare qua sopra. Le statue sono andate via? Ok, devo fare presto, mi sa. Qua non posso andare perché ci sono le spine. A meno che non posso fare così, vediamo. No. Ok. Hanno cercato di farmi male. Ma c'è una persona là sopra?
When I told you that you would not find a way back up, that was not a prediction.
Ma che cazzo?
Was a promise. You will die here.
Capace, ma che fai?
I disagree. I warned you against coming down here, against perpetuating this sacrilege. But you persisted.
Ma Capace, da che parte stai?
You have undermined and dishonored the true god of the underworld. How did you think this would end, if not with bloodshed? Very well, I will listen. But if I sense deception, or if you further insult my gods, I will carry out my threat. So tell me, why should I let you live after you salvaged this instrument of blasphemy?
Ok. Posso utilizzare... Ok. Ok. Non lo so cosa dire. Mi sembrava abbastanza introspettivo lui all'inizio. Quindi potrebbe funzionare la prima. Sicuramente la seconda no. Anche se poteva farlo ragionare. La terza potrebbe funzionare. O la prima o la terza. Cosa mi dite? Io faccio la prima. No, la prima mi sembra troppo sbeffarda.
Why? To what end?
Eccolo qua.
But why? What business could you have with Osiris? Blasphemous fool! You have sealed your own fate.
Ah, ok.
Good. I welcome it. You see, the philosopher told me that each time it breaks, Osiris bellows with rage, and his voice shakes the very foundations of the earth. I can only hope one more tremor will lay waste to this fragile place once and for all, and you along with it.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Beh, tu adesso devi solo riuscire a salvarti.
Ma dove sto andando io?
Tu vai.
Oh. No, peccato. Posso rifare la parte e vedere se ho un'altra... No, dai, possiamo farla la prossima volta. Oh no, dietro devo andare. Oh, ho sbagliato. Andiamo qua. Kabash. No, io devo farmi tutta la strada. Oh no, that's crazy. Ok, dai, ce l'ho fatta. Mi dispiace che l'abbia fatto incavolare, però va bene. Però adesso le placche. Manca solo quella greca.
Salve, friend. Oh. Julia. Poor Virgil. All right, let me see. What? I'll go.
What? Poor Julia. Sì, esatto. Poor Julia. What? Fabia. We'll see.
But my point is this. If you want to know who stole an old Greek name, look no further than the sticky finger drum. The plague you seek was pilfered from a collection of old Greek relics by none other than Dully.
Ah, aveva ragione davvero Danny.
Typical Roman, he likes shiny things, especially those that once belonged to my people. And besides, it makes him happy. So I say,
Intanto succede di tutto qua.
The Temple of Demeter. I hope that our
Quindi ce l'ha Duli. Ce l'ha Duli davvero.
Il meme del succo d'arancia.
Well, if you get me, Galerius already tried that. Like,
sì, esatto.
Yeah. Go.
Poveraccio.
Poverino. Ok, quindi adesso devo fare questo adesso.
Eh sì, devi fare leggere Galerius.
Allora, quindi
Devi parlare anche con lui.
con Galerius, sì. No, come sì?
Galerius?
Dov'è Galerius? Galerius?
Dovrebbe essere qui.
So solo che sta andando... Ok. Allora, io direi... Faccio eleggere Galerius. Rompere la Golden... Ah no, non è vero. Perché il Duli non è libero quando... no, però...
No, deve fare leggere Galerius prima.
No, esatto. Perché prima non hanno eletto Galerius. Galerius! Galerius! prima li facciamo leggere, quindi andiamo da Equizia, che è qua. A parte che... Vabbè,
It'll be white. Well, I wouldn't describe him very.
ci ho provato.
I'll start with you, Horatius.
Sentius, of course.
Georgius.
Galerius. He saved the life of my dear friend Fabia.
Decius.
Sentius.
Virgil.
The man who put a stop to the threats I've been receiving. Galerius.
Ulpius.
Galerius, the man who saved my life.
Rufius.
The man who treated my wound.
Ce l'abbiamo fatta.
Galerius.
Citizens, you have made your decision. Your new magistrate is Gallus Galerius Helva.
Wow!
Yeah.
Magistrate Galerius, would you like to make a brief address?
I just want to say, this isn't something I ever wanted. Now that you put your trust in me, I'm going to do everything I can not to let you down. I'll need some time to put together a list of the changes I want to make around here. But I promise you, there will be changes. My first order is that Dooley is to be freed. Horatius, release him from his cell immediately. Please. Wait, do I need to say please? That's it. You can all get on with your day. Nothing else to see here. Move along.
Ah, però non arriva male o lo so rompe le balle?
Mi sa perché appunto non è stato eletto l'altro, quindi gli sta bene.
Ah.
Then I want you to go home and rest. I'll speak with you soon, Dooley.
Oh.
Hello? I'm Dooley. Magistrate Galerius said I should thank the newcomer. Oh, it is you. Thank you. You're a big helper. You can have my shiny, and maybe you
Già
can
preso.
help me find my treasure. My friend Hannibal used to look after, but before that, he told
Hey.
me if anything ever happened to him, I had to find. He gave me a key to the cisterns. Please help me find it. Oh, thank you.
Adesso io posso andare da Sentilla, ma dall'alto. Dai, così posso evitare.
Maybe it is treasure. I can see it for myself. So pretty.
Dooley è libero.
Doppio un elfo libero!
Maybe no one will mind if I just take it.
No, fermo, fermo! No!
Don't you dare.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Si era bloccato lo stream per me.
Dooley! Dooley, mi cadi così in basso?
Vai, che fai, Cacamori? Muori, Miguel! Ma guarda te.
Oh! Speedrun Straz.
Oh, guarda te.
Ehi là!
Non ti servono altri soldi.
Vorrei vedere Miguel giocare a DBD con questa abilità.
Ah, chi, scusa?
E a proposito, hai messo a scaricare Dead by Daylight?
No.
Disgrazia. L'ho sentito, Daniele.
Continuo a dimenticarmi, ragazzi.
Puoi
Bene.
farlo adesso, non è che è un gioco
Allora.
online questo, eh.
Oh wow, adesso? Ok, dai.
Se qua metti le placche, no?
Non so se mi fa partire qualcosa. È cinese! Ah no, scherzo, sembrava... ok.
Bene, ora tutti mudi.
Ma devo fare questo? Non posso parlare prima con lui?
Puoi farlo.
No, andiamo.
Puoi parlarci, puoi andarci.
Quello giusto è Hades. Perché hanno detto che prima c'è... No! Ah, Pluto. Ah, sì. O era Ado o era Pluto. Ci sta.
Hai capito come selezionare la risposta, no?
Sì, forse sì.
Oh, vabbè, non gli dovrei dire.
Ah, ho capito! Dovrebbe essere questo se ho capito. No, aspetta, devo capire cosa c'è qua. Quindi questo qua, Roma. Quindi è questo. Ok, ho capito. I understand now. Questo è egizio. Quindi Osiris. Sì, potevo arrivarci. Osiris. Lord del silenzio. E questo è... quello tutto strano. Che è Nergal.
Sono Babilone più antico degli egizi.
What the fuck? Sì. Oh. Ah, non posso buttarmi giù. Che storia! Oh! Posso tornare indietro? Come we meet at the last?
And here you are. Allow me to introduce myself. As you have already gathered, I've been known by many names. Nergal to the Sumerians, Osiris to the Egyptians, Hades to the Greeks, and Pluto to the Romans. But the one constant through it all has been my title, God of the Underworld. And I've been watching you with curiosity, mortal, ever since your arrival. You are unlike the others, aren't you? And what is more, you carry a weapon that was never intended for mortals to wield, and you do it so brazenly. But there will be time for your reckoning later. First, as a reward for undoing the desecration of my obelisk, I will allow you to satisfy your curiosity. Ask what you will.
Posso chiedere davvero a un dio qual è la tua storia?
My
Sì.
story is many thousands of years long. You will need to be more specific. What do you wish to know? It is a matter of perspective. God is a label I was given by you mortals, not one I gave myself. Your ancestors revered me because to them, my knowledge and technology made me incomprehensibly powerful, just as you might seem so to an insect. But despite all that, there are rules even I must obey.
Ma che figata!
My kin and I all adopted this form long ago, so that we might better understand and communicate with your kind.
Che figata, sembra tipo un alieno!
The sensory delights it affords, desire, joy, ecstasy, even rage and sorrow, while an acquired taste can be addictive. No. Long ago I swore to Persephone that I would remain in this form for as long as we remained among your kind. I must honor that. This is my beloved. Like me, she has been known by many names. Ereshkigal to the Sumerians, Isis to the Egyptians, Persephone to the Greeks, and Proserpina to the Romans. Or perhaps you might know her as the goddess of springtime, the cycle of life and renewal. Your gaze lingers too long.
Oh! Aspetta! Lui non sa niente dei sussurri di Proserpina?
That is my servant. You would have met by
Caronte.
the river, though she wears many
Quindi lei è
faces
Karen.
and goes by many names.
Karen.
Mutabal to the Sumerians,
Mutabal.
Kurti to the Egyptians, Charon to the Greeks, and Charon to the Romans. Her role is to ferry souls between the mortal world and this one, and to make their transition as seamless as possible. For that, she earned herself the infamous, if erroneous, moniker, the Ferryman. You will talk more later. For now, ask your questions. As you wish. It has come to be known simply as the Underworld, and it exists because of a wager I made long ago.
Wager.
That is a long story, one that began over 3,000 years ago and continues to this day. You see, long ago my kin and I set out from our home on Elysium to search for other forms of life among the stars.
Okay.
We discovered your planet and witnessed your kind evolving from primates into something lawless and barbaric. You all but destroyed yourselves, your 2 short lives being extinguished by violence and ignorance and disease. Yet Proserpina saw raw potential in you, and persuaded the rest of us it would be squandered without our intervention and stewardship. So we revealed ourselves to your people in a place called Sumer. We offered guidance in agriculture, toolcraft, and law.
Dai.
You called us gods.
Sei tu che hai costruito le piramidi.
For a time you flourished, but soon you were too many for us to oversee. And as you spread from that cradle of civilization, we saw something disturbing. We had sown the seeds of dependency and confusion, and soon you returned to your old ways of violence and ignorance, this time in our name. My kin had seen enough, and gave up on your kind, condemning you as barbaric and chaotic, scarcely more than animals. We began preparations to return to Elysium, our home world, a utopia unspoilt by conflict and unimaginable in its beauty. But my Proserpina could not bear to abandon your kind without guidance, and knowing it would force the rest of us to leave her behind, she made an extraordinary sacrifice. She gave up her immortality to descend permanently to the ranks of humankind. And so she began her inescapable trajectory toward death. Horrified, I acted swiftly. I placed her in suspended animation in a deep frozen sleep to prevent age and sickness from claiming her. And then I pleaded with Proserpina's father, who the Romans called Jupiter, to bring her with us to Elysium. It was and is my hope that once there, we might one day learn to undo what she has done to herself. But he refused. I did everything I could to persuade him, but he would not relent. He would rigidly uphold his final pronouncement. Humans were unworthy of ascension to Elysium, and no exceptions would be made. But seeing that I was aggrieved, he proposed a wager, the terms of which were as follows. If even one human city could prove itself capable of living without sin for a single year, then Proserpina and all of humanity would be permitted to join us in Elysium. My part would be to remain behind, the last of my kind, to watch over you, without interfering, and to sit in silent judgment. And so my reward has been to languish here, enduring a 3,000-year winter, waiting for the day your kind proves itself worthy of her faith in you, so that I might take her with me to Elysium and unthaw my goddess of springtime. And here I am, after all this time, still waiting.
Che roba, che roba!
There were also gods who, like me, have been known by many names, but perhaps you knew them by their Roman names. Our leader, Jupiter, as well as Neptune, Saturn, Juno, Minerva, Mars, Venus, Apollo, Diana, Vulcan, Vesta, Ceres, and of course, my beloved Proserpina. As the first wave of your kind arrived from Sumer, I had them build a city in their own fashion, so that they might be comfortable and recreate their lives here. I had them build the entrance as a vertical shaft leading to baths, to cleanse them of the sins of their former lives, and to prevent escape. I watched wave after wave of Sumerians arrive, and as their civilization declined over the centuries, they were replaced by Egyptians. Of course, believing themselves to be the superior civilization, the Egyptians promptly built over what had been built before, and made all the same mistakes. After another 1,000 years, the Greeks began to arrive, and then the Romans, and they all did the same thing. They built upon the underworlds of their predecessors, renamed their gods, and ensured their foundations were forgotten. To ensure the wage was fair, it was important that my subjects were chosen at random. To this end, I had my servant distribute 1,000 tokens fashioned from silver, a rare element at the time, across all of Sumer. Whoever died while in possession of one of them would be located by my
gli ovuli. Bello.
with no memory of how they arrived. As the tokens were discovered, they were traded, smelted, and fashioned into trinkets, and eventually coins, spreading to Egypt like seeds on the wind. Later, when they spread to Greece, they would come to be known as Charon's obol, or as coins for the ferryman. Some placed coins in the mouths of their dead, hoping they would awaken here, though they had no way of knowing which coins were fashioned from the original tokens. In fact, almost all of the tokens are accounted for, only 2 remain. And so after this wave destroys itself, as it is destined to do, your kind will have squandered the last of its potential to ascend beyond this rock, and Persepolis along with it.
Che storia.
It is a regrettable story. One of the first men who came to this place was a king of Sumer and a troublemaker. To be rid of him, I returned him to his people, on the condition that my servant erased his memories of this place. But the erasure did not take completely, and he told stories of this place as if describing memories of a dream. His tales were committed to writing, which came to be known as the Epic of Gilgamesh. His words were twisted and distorted over generations.
Il grande Gilgamesh.
Later, the Egyptians would adapt Sumer's stories of the underworld, making them wildly intricate and labyrinthine. Their Book of the Dead and Book of Gates bore less and less resemblance to this place, in their priests' pursuit of profit. Then, when the Greeks began to arrive, they proved far more cunning, and in a series of incidents that will not be repeated, 5 of them escaped. A warrior named Heracles,
Dai.
Sisyphus and Theseus, a poet named Orpheus, and a Trojan named Aeneas. They each told embellished tales of this place, how to get here, and how to escape. And so from Sumer to Egypt, Greece to Rome, your kind has always told each other stories about this place, though each story contained only a seed of truth.
Cinema.
Of course. That is merely the name your people have given to it, but yes, it is my doing. That is a story dating back to the very first wave. After the Sumerians finished building their city, the self-declared ruler threw a banquet to celebrate. Now this man was unmarried, and many women were vying to become his wife, a prestigious position of power and influence in a new world. Of all the women, 2 were particularly ambitious. Both were beautiful, and both arrived at the banquet wearing eye-catching dresses and painted faces, their hair woven in elaborate fashion. The first woman, recognizing that she would require an advantage to win the ruler's affection, draped herself in jewelry, ornate necklaces, bracelets, and rings fashioned from gold. Seeing this ostentatious display, the second woman grew envious, for she had no such jewelry at her disposal. She prayed aloud to any gods that would listen to cover her in gold, and when her prayer went unanswered, she took matters into her own hands. While the others indulged at the banquet, the second woman summoned the first for a discussion in a quiet place. She checked that nobody was watching and pushed her rival from the top of the ziggurat, where she broke her neck on the rocks below. But I was watching, and I decided to answer her prayer. I took the golden bow left behind by Diana, and I shot that woman in the heart, covering her from head to toe in a layer of molten gold. And I left her to stand there, that she might serve as a grim reminder of what befalls those who sin in my domain. But that was not enough, for the entire city was tainted by her sin, and the wager could no longer be won. So I had no choice but to wipe the slate clean. I gilded them all, to make way for a new wave.
Dai.
Began the wager again. And to this
Che
day,
roba.
each of them, and all who came after, line the halls of this city, inanimate but conscious, suspended in time with only their sight and hearing preserved, so they may bear witness to and lament the folly of your kind for eternity, as silent golden sentinels.
Ah, è per caso che lui vede attraverso gli occhi. Mamma mia.
I give your kind a second chance at life, as well as ample warning about my law. And when you disobey, and you always disobey, you force my hand, bringing terrible suffering upon yourselves. And so you ask if I am the one destroying your lives. And I say, no, you destroy yourselves. I am merely the means by which you do it.
Ok, fair enough.
When my kin departed, they left behind many relics which I inherited. A consolation prize of sorts. The golden bow originally belonged to one of my kin, who the Romans called Diana. As my collection of golden statues grew, I chose the most ferocious among them, and equipped them each with a duplicate of her bow, and tasked them with hunting down the Forsaken at my behest. They became known simply as Furies.
Bello.
I've always considered that the cornerstone of morality is the ability to determine right from wrong on one's own. No attempt to lay out rules like your Code of Hammurabi or your 12 Tables of the Roman Republic can ever cover all possible scenarios. This should come as no surprise to you, since the core principle has been expressed in many forms by many of your civilizations. The Egyptians made a rudimentary attempt with do to the doer to make him do. The Greeks refined it with avoid doing what you would blame others for doing. The Roman Stoics added, treat your inferior as you would wish your superior to treat you. Even the so-called cultists hiding among you often say, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It is the simplest of concepts, and each one of you is born with the faculties required to apply it to any situation. Yet none of the peoples who expressed this rule were able to uphold it. Curious, is it not? For you, perhaps. I've always considered that the cornerstone of morality is the Egypt, the Greek, the Roman, even it is yet enough. You clearly know.
Ok.
We both know that.
Ci ho provato, ehi.
And you would be. I'm able to commune with all of the statues in the city. Their ears are my ears, and their eyes are my eyes. If she was still conscious, I suppose she could, but she's not. Why do you ask?
Non posso dirlo. Ah, ok.
Then what an odd question.
Ok.
Do you plan to speak in sweeping generalizations, or are you going to give me an example?
Tipo il suicidio.
I've seen no such thing, but in any case, taking one's own life is a self-directed act. It is not one that is done to others, however they may be affected by it. Therefore, it cannot be said that one who commits suicide has done anything unto others. Applying this rule always requires us to interpret the meaning of the words. A literal interpretation helps to minimize
Ok, fair enough. Giusto, è pieno di ambiguità.
Supposing you are right, then my law has been broken, and I should turn you all to gold immediately. Is that what you want? Then your desire to be right outweighs your desire to survive. You will make a fine statue.
No!
Do you really think you can wound? How dare you threaten her? This... The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
E cosa devo fare adesso? E che cosa ho fatto? E adesso? E ora? Oh!
You will suffer eternal torment for this.
Hai ragione, Miguel.
Ok. Vabbè, pazienza, ok. Mi ricordo tutto. Non volevo fare così. Allora. Ma posso farlo all'inizio, tipo? Vedete quando metti il video in reverse. Che cosa consideri? Ok, ed eravamo qua. E gli ho detto... Ah, forse per te, va bene. Come sai, mi dice l'estate. No reason, perché lui non lo sa. Eccolo qua. Tipo il suicidio. Ah. Vabbè, facciamo finta... Fair enough. Tipo questo.
How is that inconsistent with the rule I've outlined? I disagree. Having watched this merchant, that is precisely what he would expect from others, and he would be quite capable of paying the price anyway. Now tell me, what... You speak of the moneylender. How is that inconsistent?
Okay.
And he would never have signed a contract pledging his labor for 30 years. All he did was enforce the term. Ignoring your irritating sense of moral superiority. This is... I see. And how long might it take such a person to repay their debt? I fail to see how your system of loans is significantly different to a debt bondsman signing over his labor for 30 years. Now tell me, applying this rule always requires speculation to some degree. It requires us to ask what another person would want if they found themselves in another situation.
Okay.
Now, the midwife in the palace, yes.
The midwife.
How is that inconsistent with the rule? The rule is do unto others, meaning other people. Those statues are something else now.
Ok, avevamo già la risposta.
Mere shapes of their former selves. They are forsaken. What happens to them is no concern of mine.
Ah, ok.
Applying this rule always. Now tell me, what other sins do you...
Ok. Ok.
Abduction. You mean the magistrate imprisoning his daughter in the system? He did so because she sought to escape. A sin I take particularly seriously. Better that he stops her from escaping, albeit brutishly, than I have to wipe out this entire city to punish her. Wouldn't you agree?
Ma quindi senti, sa davvero il dio dalla sua parte, cioè o meglio, lui sa che cosa vuole.
Now tell me.
Se faccio questo devi rifare tutto a zero.
Do you honestly think you could do better?
No.
I should strike you down for that. Now, did you have any other questions before your rest? Very well. Good. Then now it is time for your reckoning. Only, it seems, something is wrong. It has long been within my power to see into the hearts of mortals and weigh their deeds in life. But when I peer into you, I see only a blank slate, as if you did not exist until you appeared in this city. How is this possible?
Ah, perché Proserpina mi sta aiutando. Ah, perché...
I do not remember ferrying you. How did you come here?
Oddio!
You would have us believe that my servant me... That sounds improbable. Charon, does this mortal speak the truth? Or should I strike him down?
No, ho sbagliato.
Perhaps.
Ah, ok.
The waters of the River Lathe are known to have that effect.
I will take you at your word.
La prima volta che mentire ha
As long as
funzionato.
your past remains shrouded in mystery, it seems I must put your reckoning on hold. But answer this. Why have you come here? What is it you seek?
Ok. Ah, posso dire never mind, I'll be going.
Your hubris is amusing, so I will allow you to make your case. But I warn you, if you anger me or waste my time with lies or wrong-headed arguments, you face death here. So, tell me, why should I put an end to the so-called Golden Rule? How so? And be specific. You have made a grave allegation, and I expect you to back it up. True. I have witnessed him doing that. His cruelty does seem to grow greater by the day. He is a volatile and confused fellow, that one. Pathetic. You will need to do a lot better than that.
Ah, non funziona. Ok.
He cannot know.
I see what you are doing. You are trying to undermine the one thing keeping me anchored here. You are
Oddio. Non so se seguire questa strada, facciamo l'altra prima.
You have no idea how close you just came to eternal torment, mortal. That is a very serious accusation.
Allora.
I am well aware of the story told by the Greeks and Romans of my so-called abduction. It is entirely unfair. My love was dying, and I intervened the only way I could to save her life. What would you have done? It was an act of rebellion against the others. She knew I would have to act to save her.
No.
And I did, because I loved her. I love her still. Accordingly, I reject your argument. These people were all dead when my servant found them. I gave them a second chance at life. Would you prefer to have simply ceased to exist?
Oddio. Più che altro così è un tormento.
Accordingly, I reject your argument. Every one of those people was guilty of failing to ensure their peers lived virtuously. They failed collectively, and so they were punished collectively. The Romans understand this, as did the Greeks before them. Ah, but I'm a god, and you are a mortal. Why would you expect me to treat you as I treat my own kind? You are not a peer. You are not a respected equal. Let me ask you this. Do you treat insects as you wish to be treated? Do you care for their well-being as you would your fellow man? Do you ensure they have food and shelter and protection from predators? Do you give them rights?
Fair point.
Of course not, because that would be absurd, just as it would be absurd for me to treat your kind as equals. My love for her does not mean I am not superior, now that she is mortal. Where to begin? Our lifespans exceed yours by thousands of years, in which time we accumulate vast wisdom and a mastery of technology you cannot begin to imagine. It would be most unwise to get ideas about attacking me, because that is the source of our power over you. My kin have no superiors.
Sì, ma tu sei il superiore. Esatto.
That is true. Go on. Make your point, mortal. Let me ponder that for a moment.
Oddio, lo sto
If you are
outplayando?
right, then it would follow that all this time
No.
I have been in the wrong. But no. The very thought of it grieves me. How can I accept your argument when doing so would make me a tyrant and a monster? Wait, what? What are you saying? You have spoken eloquently, and yet, if what you say is true, it follows that my wager was fatally flawed from the beginning. But that would mean Jupiter, Proserpina's father, who knew more about you than anyone, proposed a wager I could never win.
Può
Why
essere?
did he do that?
Perché così... Tu avresti imparato qualcosa?
Perhaps, but if that was so, surely I would have sensed his deception. How could I have been so blind for so long?
Ok. Oddio.
Your words sting me, mortal. But perhaps it is what I deserve. As difficult as this is to admit, I have suspected as much for a long time now. And I cannot
Not deny
it
it
any
any
longer.
longer.
I've been so fixated on taking my beloved to Elysium that every time one of you sinned, it wore away my hope of being with her again. In time, I began to despise your kind for making her believe that you could ever be better than you are. But my rage was not born of malice, quite the opposite. Everything I have done, I did because I loved her. Who knew this empathy of yours, that you celebrate so much, could have such a dark underside? This has gone on too long. It is time for me to let go of this form, of her, of all of you. But know this. If I abandon the wager and leave for Elysium, neither she nor your kind may ever ascend. Because doing so would violate the rules of my sacred agreement, the best I can do is return you to the land of the living.
Va benissimo.
Once this exodus begins, the events that brought you to this moment will never have taken place, and you will have created a paradox. What will become of you is difficult to predict, but that is the risk you have taken by interfering in the natural flow of time. Now, are you ready? Farewell, mortal.
No, vabbè, assurdo. Assurdo? Ma da dov'è? Oddio.
Hi there. Gave me a bit of a fright. Well, here I am. Oh, did that lady in the forest send you in here after me? I guess I lost track of time. Learning about the history of this. I'm fairly certain you and I are the first people to set foot in this city for about 2,000 years. Fortunately for us, the last person in here was a Roman man named Galerius, who inscribed an account into a tablet. Apparently, there was a community of 20-something people trapped in here, and living in fear of a curse they called the Golden Rule. They believed that if even one person sinned, an unknown god would then, one day, just as Galerius had finished praying for a good harvest, an oracle appeared and told him how to solve the ills of the city, like saving the life of a dying woman, preventing the suicide of a man in debt, freeing a falsely foiling an assassin, and so on. Meanwhile, the oracle walked up to the temple of the mysterious god, this one right here, and demanded an audience, and the doors just opened up to... Nobody knows what went on in there, but Galerius wrote the oracle must have been more persuasive than Odysseus, because the next thing he knew, the ground shook, and the voice of that god rang out over the city. The many have suffered long enough. Unfortunately, Galerius' account just sort of stops after that, leaving a lot of questions unanswered. What became of him, and the other people who lived here? What happened to all the golden statues? And did this mysterious oracle single-handedly undo the curse that had terrorized people for hundreds of years?
These Romans are crazy, man. Vai, facciamo così.
What? Oh, I see. Anyway, I think I found a way out through the aqueduct that brought water into the city. Follow me.
Ma stavolta è Lmao?
I'm gonna pause here for a moment and Nick, you go on ahead.
Lo zaino, il mio amico zaino!
Why don't you tell me what you discovered?
Ah, I see. I thought you might. Well, now you know. I suppose you have questions. You can just call me Charon, if you like. I am sorry I was not completely honest with you when we first... I do not enjoy deceiving people. Believe me, I do not. But I have learned from that most people find comfort in familiarity, in gradual change, and coming to see the truth in their own time. That you died, of course. You were dead when I brought you here. My role, as the servant of the god of the underworld, has always been to assist the chosen to cross the threshold from the land of the living to the land of the dead. Usually, when people do not remember how they died, it is because they suffered a terrible trauma. Most souls would rather not remember. Ask yourself honestly, do you really want to know? As you wish. You were murdered, You were
Dai.
exploring an old tomb when you discovered a cache of forgotten relics, including 2 silver coins of ancient origin. Unfortunately, as you emerged into daylight, you were set upon by 2 thieves. A nearby hiker saw the scuffle break out and leapt to your aid, trying to help you recover your bounty. You both fought bravely, but your assailants were armed, and you were not. There was nothing you or your ally could have done. He
C'è
died
io e
instantly
Al.
at the scene, and you followed a few hours later. That man's name was
No!
Al Worth. You were
No!
each in possession of a sacred coin, called Charon's opal by some. And so it was my duty to bring you here.
Wow!
It means I am now bereft of purpose. There is nobody else to ferry here, nobody to keep you company. After 5,000 years, the underworld has finally run its course. Perhaps you have heard the tales of the Greeks and Romans burying their dead with a coin in their mouths to pay the well, those stories contained a seed of truth, but not any coin would do. A long time ago, my master created 1,000
Ah, no, no, no,
silver
ok,
coins.
questo me l'aveva
My
raccontato.
orders were simple. Whenever a person died,
Sì, esatto.
it means I am now bereft of purpose. There is nobody else to ferry here, nobody to keep you company. After 5,000 years, the underworld has finally run its course.
Me l'hai detto di nuovo?
I see no point in keeping you here, but I have to ask one thing. That you keep this to yourself.
Look! Here comes Al now. Al! It's so good to see you. You were gone so long I thought I'd never see you again.
Kinda lost track of time in there. You wouldn't believe what we found. And there was a tablet describing an oracle.
Sounds like quite a story. And I look forward to hearing. You two look exhausted.
Sounds good to me.
And you? Are...
No! No way!
Enjoy.
No way! Actually, no, vabbè. Dimmi, è Al invecchiato? No, sembra Virgil lui.
You made it. It's great to see you again. I read your book, and what the critics said about it. I guess they weren't ready for your theories about the underworld. Anyway, after everything you've been through, I thought you might appreciate some good news. So after we got back to the real world, I started doing some research into the people mentioned in Galerius's tablet, and I found something strange. I'm sorry I've been so cryptic. I've been dying to tell you, I just really wanted you to see this for yourself. Why don't you head on down there?
Che storia. Che storia. Al museo, guarda c'è gente normale finalmente. Oddio, perché Galeri? Perché? Oh Duli!
You're finally here. Remember me?
Ma infatti cosa ci fai qua?
After you disappeared, Charon appeared and told us she was returning us to the world. Even gave us some coins to help us start our lives over. Only, for some reason, she returned us to your world instead of ours. Anyway, I know we only ever had that one conversation, and I wasn't even sure if you'd remember me, but I wanted to say thanks for freeing us from the underworld and giving us a second chance at life.
Che figata.
Oh,
Cosa fai?
I used Charon's gift to buy a farm in Umbria.
Ci sta, in Umbria, in Umbria.
With enough room for Dooley, of course. It's hard work, but I sleep soundly every night. I'm finally my own man, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I know. I can't believe my luck either. But we're engaged and living together. Of course.
Dai. Che roba.
It's lovely to finally meet you.
Ah, come è truccata bene.
All about you. So, you're the hero who somehow vanquished the last of the Roman gods. As I'm a priestess, you realize you've put me out of work. I'm just teasing. Actually, and it still feels a little sacrilegious to say this, I'm finding life after religion quite enjoyable. Galerius and I are engaged and expecting. We've just bought a lovely villa in the countryside with room for... It feels like the world has just opened up for us. There's so much to be so thankful for what you did for us. Oh, it's sweet of you to ask. She recovered nicely. In fact, she's here somewhere, if you'd like to ask her yourself. See?
Dooley!
Hello, I'm Dooley. Galerius said you're very nice and a big helper.
Ok, sei strano come ai tempi, no?
The bad place.
I didn't like it.
I live at Galerius and Equitia's house. They look after me now.
Vabbè.
Help me remember when I forget things. Like brush. Treasure? Oh, I forgot about that.
I like my box now.
I like my box now. Galerius got me.
Ah.
Yeah.
Bye bye. Bellissimo. Ah, quello di Proserpina. Che figata. Questo invece va bene, ok, sono tutte le cose del passato, va bene. Qua cosa abbiamo?
Hi there.
Giulia e Lucrezia, ok.
You are here. It's nice to finally meet you. Lucy is fine. I'm making an effort to blend in, as you can see. We are all trying to keep a low profile. If the world knew we died 2000 years ago,
vabbè, basta non dirlo, no?
Speaking of which, I wanted to say thank you in person. I'd say the gods smile on you, but I hear you drove the last of them off. So... I'm studying to get into medical school.
Brava.
As much as I resented when it ended, I realized I missed it. So I guess I'll just keep saving the world.
Bello.
Begrudgingly. One patient at a time.
Lucy, mia sorella.
You too. Don't be a stranger.
Don't be a stranger. Questa è una brutta canzone, tristissima, va bene? Giulia.
You're
Damn, Giulia!
Oracle,
You're
right?
fine as fuck.
Oh, of course. Sorry. And I never got a chance to thank you for telling Galerius how to save my life. And
così.
of course, getting me. As for Claudia, she was always so viciously unhappy.
Ho cliccato qualcosa in
Someone
più.
said she'd blown all her money on wine, trying to drink herself back to the after the horrific way they treated Ulpius and me. I can't help feeling a Thank you. Oh, I barely recognize I'm living in a house share in London with
Yeah.
a wonderful girlfriend.
Yeah.
And eventually I want to travel the world and write about it. Did you know there are entire continents Rome never knew existed? And you can travel almost anywhere in an aircraft, which is rather like flying on a Pegasus, but much more comfortable.
Bello.
Oh, sorry, you already know all that, of course. I have noticed people from your time have no idea how fortunate they are. I hope to change that.
Aurelia.
Someone told me she was boasting about getting her claws into some rich prince, and how she was going to be living the high life. Even in your time, life still isn't fair. Apparently, he'd proposed before they'd even met. And last I heard, she'd bought herself a first-class one-way ticket to join him in Nigeria? Some people have all the luck.
L'hanno scammata.
Sì. Scammata forte. Sì, te sì.
Really? Huh. I feel better.
Bello.
You too. I hope so.
Bello. Sai che io non sono reale. Ok, io non sto solo giocando. Però mi sento... Boh. Soddisfatto. Relieved. No, guarda che roba.
Senti parte del mondo.
Sì.
Hey.
Horatius e Sentia. Sentia.
I take it you're the Oracle. Thanks for coming.
Actually, I changed my name to Cynthia.
Cynthia.
I didn't want to be associated with Sentius.
Lei è la
I'm
figlia
not
di
sure if
Sentius,
you
esatto.
heard, but after you drove Pluto off, Proserpina emerged from the Great Temple. She knew right away what none of us had figured out about that psychopath. He'd been keeping my little sister locked up in the upper cistern all that time.
Già.
But he's been dealt with. He's... you know what? The important thing is...
Chissà come reagirà a sentirla.
Anything I want. I'm a woman of means in a vast new world.
Giusto.
I can go wherever. Of course, I mostly just stay in my villa and have my servant Alexa summon things for me.
Alexa.
Because it's just
Summon
awful
things.
out there. Barbarians everywhere. He's still there, all alone. The last golden statue in the underworld. Trapped in a metal shell. Slept eternal torment. Just what he deserves. Meh. I try not to think about him at all.
Ci sta.
You too.
See you around. Horatius. Bello il tuo elmo così, che carino. Adesso sei un militare tu, sì, per forza.
Hi there, I'm Horatius.
Ti conosco.
I understand we have you to thank for giving us a second chance at life. And reuniting Scintilla with us as well. So... I'm living up north and studying in the military academy in Modena.
Modena?
I'm going to be an officer one day. The world's changed a lot. But some things stay the same. Would you believe we're still studying military tactics from my time? Alexander the Great, Caesar, Hannibal Barca. Still,
Ma
I have to keep
immagina...
challenging myself to let go of old ways of thinking and embrace the new. As Seneca wrote, the ones
giovane
who
Seneca.
pioneered our paths aren't our masters, but our guides.
Bello.
You remembered that. Thank you. I grieved for a time, but that's done. In the words of Epictetus, as those who rode behind triumphant generals remind them they are mortal, remind yourself your precious one isn't one of your possessions, but something given for now, not forever. Thanks. He's not my... Oh, I see what you did there. Good one. He had more trouble adapting than most. He got himself disqualified from the UFC, so he started some kind of underground blood sport tournament, like we had in Rome.
Ok, classico.
To people's baser instincts. And they say he made some good coin, killing a bunch of men like that. But his luck finally ran out, and his life along with it. You know what they say. You're not wrong. And you.
Oh, my friend Georgius!
Magnificent museum, is it not?
Spero che voi due state insieme.
Greetings. You must be the legendary Oracle.
Oracli!
It's a sincere privilege to finally make your
Il
acquaintance.
mio personaggio preferito.
I am Georgius. I am told we have you to thank for freeing us from Hades, and for that I am most grateful. I am reacquainting myself with Greece.
Ok.
It has changed so much over the last 2000 years, I barely recognize it.
Ne fanno i tappeti, sono in crisi, che storia.
And thrilling. Perhaps one day, once I have seen all of this new Greece and sampled her delights, I will settle down in Santorini in a villa overlooking the Azure Aegean Sea. I hope you will join me there and regale me with the story of how you faced the world and won. You too, my friend.
Fabian.
You're the one we've been waiting for. I wanted to say thanks for sending Galerius to save my life. Well, it's not like I have to work with all the silver Charon gave me, so I just do what makes me happy. Mostly that means baking for my friends and looking at memes while binging TV shows in yoga pants.
Bello.
What a time to be alive.
Bello.
Thank you.
Tu chi sei? Oh mio Dio, è il mio professore di storia.
I take it you're the oracle
Incredibile.
everybody's talking about. It's a pleasure to finally meet you. We have. I'm sorry, I don't remember.
Okay.
I never thought I'd leave that cave, let alone the city. And now I'm living in the 21st century.
What a time to be alive.
And it seems I have your catabasis to thank for it.
Ah, è vero, Kabashi che fine ha fatto poi?
I'm working as a consultant to the Faculty of Classics at
Cambridge,
University,
sì.
helping fill the odd gap. And not that I need the money, but I do love my
Some soiree, innit? Ah, hello at last. You must be the oracle I've heard so much about. Listen, I wanted to express my sincere appreciation for what you did. If it wasn't for you, I'd never been able to sell all that. Whatever you did in that temple made me a very wealthy man. Such acerbic. I took the money I made from selling my trinkets and started investing in the stock market.
Giusto.
That's where the real money is now. In fact, I was hoping to ask your advice. You being the oracle, I can't decide between fossil fuels, tobacco, gambling and arms. Oh, don't be like that.
Oh, aspetta.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Good
evening.
E voi due chi siete? Livia, quella matta, e Octavia. Ah, la cristiana.
Oh, hello. It's lovely to meet you. I'm thankful that you're here, but thank you for coming and for saving our lives. I'm living in Rome again, in a charming little flat by the Tiber.
Bello.
I'm not far from my old place. Oh, and I'm training to be a crisis counselor. After you sent Galerius to persuade Ulpius not to take his own life, I was inspired. I just want to spend the rest of my life helping people, like you helped him. Thank you. And you. Oh, and I hope this isn't too forward, but some of us are going out for a drink after this, if you'd...
Certo.
Wonderful.
Livia, cosa fai invece,
Greetings.
donna dei gatti? Ok, scusami.
Thank you for your kind words and for liberating us all. In all the time I was in the underworld, I never once imagined that I might end up in a place so much like Elysium. Ah, you remember that. I'm a little tired of Ovid, but that's all right. I have 2,000. I'm already up to the 19th century, and am quite enjoying the work of a fellow named Poe. I think I may have found a kindred spirit. Men have called me mad, but the question is not yet settled whether madness is or is not the loftiest intelligence. I'm recovering. Octavia was kind enough to let me stay with her for a while.
Oh,
At
cara.
least until I'm well enough to be independent. And
Ma ci siete ancora, ragazzi?
Sì, sì.
Oh, ok.
Facciamo godere il finale.
Minchia, siete talmente in silenzio. Oh, Kabash!
What is
Kabash? What? Kabash is a madman.
It is an honor to finally meet you, Oracle.
Oracle.
You know my name?
Sì, Kabash.
Of course. You are an oracle. You know many things.
Scusa.
I too would like to offer my thanks for releasing us from that place and for your role in bringing us here. For a time, I returned to Alexandria, but they have no need of another fisherman.
Serena ci ha
And I
mutati
came to
prima.
see there
Ho
is
paura a
nothing
parlare
for me
adesso.
there.
Ci sta.
Instead, I have decided to follow the custom of your youths and backpack the world. It is a great adventure, and I have met many.
Bravo, un
I spent the
viaggiatore.
first 25 years of my life avoiding the 42 sins that would deny
okay.
me access to the afterlife. Now, I think it is time I had some fun.
Ci sta.
Indeed.
Indeed.
Thank you,
Indeed, my dear Lupin. E voi due invece chi siete?
We meet again.
Scintilla? Ah, ciao Scintilla.
I go by Gabriella now.
Ah, scusami.
I didn't want to be reminded of that monster every time I heard my own name. And
Ok, Gabriella.
I wanted to say thanks, and no hard feelings, for leaving me in that cistern when you did. I know it must have been a difficult decision, but
grazie.
it was the right one. I'm living with Ulpius on a little vineyard in Umbria.
È vero.
It's even more
Anche a te in
wonderful
Umbria.
than I dreamed it would be. I'm so grateful to you for making sure he's still with us. If you're ever passing through the region, you can try some of our very own wine.
Wow.
Thanks.
Ulpius.
It's nice to finally put a face to the name. I'm Ulpius. I understand the way you just showed up out of the blue and stopped me from making a terrible mistake. I'm living with Gabriella in Umbria.
Ok.
We finally bought the little vineyard we always dreamed of. Every day I look at her and this so we're living each day to the fullest. And we end them all the same way, sitting together on our terrace with a glass of our wine, which the locals say is almost drinkable now, and watching the sunset over the rolling hillside. And
Bello.
I couldn't be happier. Thank you. I wouldn't be here without you. You too.
Mi sta salendo il magone questa cosa qua. Invece tu sei Virgil e Rufius. Oh no. Noè. Aspetta, fammelo dire da Rufius.
Nice to meet you.
Ciao Rufius.
I go by Rufus now. New start, new name. For what you did. Sorry, I'm no good
Sorry.
with the mushy stuff. Huh. Good to know. Anyway, it was good practice for the new world. Security cameras and smartphones everywhere.
È sempre
I live
uguale.
with Virgil in Rotterdam, not far from where he grew up. It's very modern. Destroyed in the war, and it rebuilt itself. Good place.
Non farò questo commento perché sennò devo tagliarlo.
To do with my life yet. One adjustment at a time. You too. Look us up next time you're in the Netherlands.
Virgil.
It's so nice to finally meet you. I've heard so much about you. I wanted to thank you personally and for helping Rufus come to terms with himself. He may come off a little gruff, but once you get past that, he's a lovely fellow. I'm studying to be an architect again, and living with Rufus in our beautiful flat in Rotterdam, just down the river from Nijmegen, where I grew up. Of course, it's improved immensely since I was there last. Gleaming futuristic buildings and clean streets full of educated, accepting people. You natives of the 21st century have no idea how fortunate you too, as Rufus said in his own laconic way. If you're ever in the Netherlands, we'd love to show you around. It's the least we could do.
Wow. Oh. Non mi ricordavo la statua fosse così, però ok. Che storia! Dopo questo gioco devo andare assolutamente in un museo, per forza.
There you are. I hope you enjoyed that. Now, there's one more person I wanted to introduce you to.
Sorry if I frightened you. Just a little joke I've been saving for a long, long time. Allow me to introduce myself properly. I am Persephone, former goddess of the cycle of life and renewal, and now a regular mortal. I wanted to meet you in person, and thank you for freeing all these people, and me. I hate to think what would have happened to us without your intervention. Indeed. Suffice it to say that while Pluto was controlling the eyes and ears of each golden statue, I was able to control their tongues and whisper to you when he was distracted. I am sorry my messages were so cryptic.
Dai.
There were only ever brief windows in which I could speak to you without being detected. I did. I may have given up my immortality, but I still retain my gifts as the goddess of the cycle of life and renewal.
Ah, ok,
After
ci sta.
witnessing Pluto punish countless poor souls over thousands of years,
che roba.
I knew this generation, the final wave, would not survive. So I tried to give them a way to buy more time. A second chance. Rather, as many second chances as they needed to avoid his wrath. I don't know what happened to him. I haven't heard from him, and I rather hope it stays that way.
Ok.
Oh, she inherited dominion over the underworld. Last time we spoke, she was working on a new world of some kind. She wouldn't say what it was, but I'd be surprised if you don't run into her again. I imagine we all will, one day.
Dai.
And you, although it feels like I've known you forever. Oh, and one last thing. Do you remember all those golden statues scattered throughout the city?
Sì.
Good, because they remember you.
Dai.
Well done, my friend.
Oh!
Of all the heroes who ever journeyed to the underworld and returned, none came close to achieving what you did.
Mi sta venendo da piangere.
Orpheus, Theseus, and Aeneas would be proud.
Che roba, che roba. Però mi manca il finale 3. Bello.
Bene.
Bellissimo. Posso dire bellissimo.
Sì, è bello.
Bellissimo. Mi ha emozionato. Che storia. Che storia.
Mm-hmm.